Paris. It was signed David Ben-Gurion. He was asking for permission to come into the American zone of Germany. I said, yes, I know who he is. And what do you think? Should we give him permission to come into the American zone of Germany? Would it be good or not good? I said, oh, it would be very good for the survivors. It would bolster their morale. And if we bolster their morale, we'll have less trouble from the Jewish survivors. So the permission was sent to David Ben-Gurion in Paris. By sheer coincidence, I had orders to go to Paris myself to receive the Croix de Guerre that was to be given to me the next day by General de Gaulle in Paris. And when I had received the honor, I went to David Ben-Gurion in his hotel and arranged that we meet at the platform at the train station that same night. There was only one way of going from Paris to Frankfurt, by American military train. And I came early to the train platform that evening, and I waited, and along came Ben-Gurion. I said, what kind of a ticket have you been given? He said, a ticket for the coach to sit up all night on the trip to Germany. I, as a field grade officer then, a major at the time, I was given a bedroom to be shared with another American major who was going into Germany. And I went up to the train captain, who fortunately was a young Jewish captain. I said to him, do you know who that man is with the shock of white hair? He said, no. I said, his name is David Ben-Gurion. Does that mean anything to you? He said, no. I said, he's the head of all the Jews of Palestine. Oh, he said, the head of all the Jews of Palestine. That he understood. I said, he is a guest of General Eisenhower coming into Germany. You can't let him sit up all night in a coach. He said, what do you want me to do, sir? I was an officer. I said, I want you to evict the other major in my bedroom and to tell him that there was a slip-up that a guest of General Eisenhower is on the train and he needs that bed. And so it happened. And I sat up half the night with David Ben-Gurion. He wanted to know what kind of people were these Jewish survivors. Would they make good citizens in Palestine for the Yishuv? And I said, Mr. Ben-Gurion, there are strong people. They're not broken spirits. If they were broken in spirit, they couldn't have survived. The fact that they are alive today shows that they were strong people. And they will make very good members of the Yishuv in Palestine. The next day I brought him to General Eisenhower, introduced him in what I thought was the simplest way possible. I said, General, if there were a Jewish state today, I should now be introducing to you the Prime Minister of that state. Ben-Gurion asked that he be given permission to go through the camps, which Eisenhower readily granted, and the general provided him with an American Army car and driver. That afternoon I took David Ben-Gurion. I'm running over my time. I promise I'll finish before the next hour is over. That afternoon I took Ben-Gurion in an army vehicle to the closest BP camp, Zeilsheim. And I brought him to the camp. I came out of the car, and I saw a number of the Jews whom I'd seen on previous visits, and they came over to talk to me. One of them went over to my car, and he looked in, and he saw this familiar face, and he began to scream, "Ben Gurion! Ben Gurion!" All the others left me and ran to the car. And I ran quickly after them. I said, "Look, I want you to show the discipline of which you are capable to Ben Gurion. Please run throughout the camp and tell all the Jews that we have a great guest today. David Ben Gurion will speak to the members, to the people, to the Jews of the camp." They did. They ran to fulfill the errands I had asked them to carry out. I drove with my guest to the auditorium of the camp, and we waited until soon the auditorium was completely filled. From wall to wall, every seat taken, every bit of space filled with people standing. The windows and the doors open so that those who couldn't get in might be able to strain their ears to hear. I came out with David Ben Gurion on the platform. The people stood, and they began to sing Hatikva. As they did, Ben Gurion cried, and I cried. And when the Hatikva was over, the many hundreds of people there were weeping. They couldn't believe their eyes. All the years of the hell through which they had been living. Through all those years, most of them had a dream that maybe someday they might be able to get to Palestine. And now, Palestine had come to them in the form of David Ben Gurion. And for the first time, they believed that they had been emancipated. They had been liberated. I want to close by telling you of an incident that happened to me. On my first round in Bavaria, when I visited Feldafing and Landsberg and the other camps, I also visited a small hospital not far from Dachau. The patients were all Jews who had been in the concentration camps, but who had been found alive when the American army had liberated the camps. And they were being taken care of in this hospital, which had formerly been a German hospital, by, for the most part, Jewish doctors who had been doctors in Poland and in Lithuania. The head of the hospital was Dr. Zalman Grinberg, a Lithuanian Jew. And he took me from ward to ward to show me all the different kinds of cases, the kinds of suffering that were evident in the faces of the patients in the different wards. Finally, he brought me to the last ward. It was a ward of children. I looked around. I saw a ward of Jewish children. Children. One had lost a leg, one an arm, another one had his head bandaged completely, one had his eyes covered. I said to him, Dr. Greenberg, these Jewish children have survived in the concentration camps. And he said that their parents concealed them, of course. The story of each one is different from the story of the other, yet each story is a miracle by itself. And then he said to the children, "Children, we have a guest today. You can see he's an officer in the American Army, but he's also an American rabbi. Children, sing a song for him." And do you know what those children sang? They sang from their little hearts, Am Yisrael Chai, the Jewish people lives.
And also, before you leave, please pick up a copy of the children's book, Promise of a New Spring. Each family, please take one. It's by Gerda Weissman-Klein. This gift was made possible through the generosity of Trudy Elbaum-Madison and her husband Bob, in memory of Trudy's mother, Sarah Bierman Elbaum, who was a Holocaust survivor, and in the memory of Trudy's family who perished in the Holocaust. We would like to end our evening by musical selection by Binyamin Schachter, who's a composer as well as a music director, arranger, and pianist. His songs have been performed in theaters, both secular and Yiddish. Ben also was musical director, arranger, and backup singer and pianist for Too Jewish. And we are very, very pleased that he's been able to join us today.
Thank you. I'm very privileged to be here. And thank you, Georgia Pollack, the HeShoah School, Adrian, and for inviting me and having me here and having me share the program with such illustrious speakers. I'm going to sing 3 songs. They're going to be in Yiddish, which is the Mamelushon of Vlad Meed and Bela Gottesman, and my own Mamelushon. Yiddish is my mother tongue and the only language that I speak with my 2 children. And before I sing the songs, I will read to you English translations that I've prepared, for those of you that aren't as fluent in Yiddish. The first song I'm going to do is called Ches Yisrolik, My Name is Yisrolik, with words by Lamed Rosenthal and music by Mem Wexler. Buy my cigarettes, buy my saccharin. Prices are cheap these days. Gotta make a living. You know how it is for the peddlers in the ghetto. My name's Yisrolik. I'm a child from the ghetto. I've got no home, no family. I've got nothing. I get by, just whistling and singing. My coat's got no collar. My pants are made out of a sack. I got galoshes, but no shoes. But don't you dare laugh at me, or else I'll show you what I'm made of. I'm Yisrolik, the child of the ghetto. Even though I've been left with nothing, I get by, just whistling and singing. Don't think I was born into a life like this. I had a mother and a father. I've lost them both, really. And here I am, like the wind in the field. I'm Yisrolik. When no one's watching, I wipe tears away from my eyes. But why talk about my problems? I don't want to make you all sad. Ches Yisrolik. No billig wert. A Leben für a Groschen, a Plutte auf ein Dienst. Fin Ghetto-Händler hat ihr doch gehört. Chais, Jesrolik, ich bin das Kind fin Ghetto. Chais, Jesrolik, a heftige Kerrin. Gott schwade blind, gole netto. Der lang ich als noch a Swische ohne Sinn. A Mantel ohne Kragen, Tag träumen von der Sack. Kalaschen hab ich, es werden nur die Schier. Wer ist, wenn nur Wagen zu lachen oder Sach, dem will ich nur wasen, wer bin ich? Chais, Jesulik, ich bin das Kind vom Ghetto. Chais, Jesulik, a heftige Kerlin. Gott schwall blind, gole netto, der lang ich als noch das Lichtchen ohne Sinn. Nicht meint, mich hat geboren, die heftige Gas. Was hatte Mama, wo ich gewesen ein Kind? Ich hab Beben und geworden, nicht meint, das ist ein Spaß. Ich bin geblieben, wie im Feld der Wind. Jes, nur wenn keiner sehen nicht, wie ich still sich find euch herumpartiert. Nur wenn man treuer, besser als man redt nicht, so wo's der Mann in Nachts hat sich schwer. Nur wenn man treuer, besser als man redt nicht, so wo's der Mann in Nachts hat sich schwer. Thank you. The second song I'm going to be singing is called Stremlen Fegel, The Birds Are Dozing, with words by Leah Lubitsky, music by Lamet Yampolsky. Birds are dozing on the branches. Sleep, my child. By your cradle, the stranger is singing. Your cradle was once laden with happiness. And now, your mother won't be coming back anymore. I saw your father running under a hail of stones, and through the fields flew his orphaned cry. Stremlen Fegel. Stremlen Fegel, auf die zwei schluft man Tage hin. singing. It's a song called Jugendhymn, the hymn for the youth, a youth hymn. The words are by Shnepke Kaczerginski, who did survive the Holocaust, only to be killed in a plane crash. He lived in Argentina and he died in a plane crash in the 1950s. But he did a lot of recovering of material from the Holocaust, a lot of research, and much of what we know today is with his assistance. And Basia Rubin wrote the music. Our song may be sad, but we're cheerful and full of life. Though the enemy is waiting by the gate, we young people are singing out, because everyone that wants to can be young. Age doesn't matter. The elderly can also be children, as we enter a new free era. Some may wander about aimlessly, some may take bold steps. We young folk bring all those people a rousing greeting from the ghetto. We remember our enemies, we remember our friends, and we will always keep our past alive, because everyone that wants to be young can be. Age doesn't matter. The elderly can also be children, as we enter a new free era. Jugendhymn. Unser Lied ist voll mit Treue, dreist ist unser Muttergang. Trotz der Säume wacht beim Teuer, sturmt Jugend